This is going to be so much editing. Guys, I've had the most fun day. The most fun. I'm being so sarcastic. Hi, my name is Steph, and today was the day, but guess what? You guys are going to get a weekly vlog at some point, so you'll hear all about it then. For right now, we are doing my June book haul. Now, here are some problems. I stupidly thought that I didn't buy that many books this month. I was like, yeah, I bought a couple. I don't want to know the number, so I'm not going to count the number. If you guys would like to count, go for it. Just don't tell me. I will remain blissfully ignorant. But let's just say that one stack is here and one stack is here. Plus there's more on the sides. So I don't know how to, let's just get into it. Let's start with the books I received first this month. It's actually a series that I have previously owned. I originally had these books in the OG cover, which I will insert somewhere on the screen, and I hated the covers, and I just didn't think I was ever going to get around to them because I was not in a fantasy era at all. And now I'm ready for them, and they have beautiful covers, so I rebought the ones that I previously unhauled. And it is the Captive Prince series. So we've got Captive Prince, Prince's Gambit, and King's Rising. And I love these covers. I was so tempted to get the special editions that I saw on Book Addiction. I decided not to. These books, all I'm going to say is there is a lot of controversy surrounding these books. I think one of these princes gets sold to the other as a slave. So everyone's issue is, can anything be consensual when you are a slave? And there's a whole discourse about that. I'm fine with fiction being fictional and things in fiction staying in fiction, which is fine. I really like these books. They all match. I haven't read them. Moving on. I placed an order through the Book Grocer. Now, the Book Grocer, I personally have some issues with them. I, in the past, have messaged the Book Grocer customer support team and said, do you guys purchase books from people? Can I donate books to you? They said, yeah, we purchase books from people. Send us photos of what books you want to donate. I had so many special editions, sprayed edges, hardcovers. So they offered me, I think it was $1 per book. And then I went to the website to see what they were selling books for. And they're selling books for $10, $15, $20. I've seen some hardcovers go as high as $43. And you're buying books from people for $1. That is an insane profit margin. And in all honesty, it completely put me off the Book Grocer for a while. So those books at the time, I just donated them. I'm like, I'd rather them be donated for free and go to people who will appreciate them and be able to get them for $3 to $5, as opposed to giving them to a big company. Ridiculous. So I've been off the Book Grocer for a while, but I decided, let's give them another shot. Let's see how we go. So I purchased 4 books from them. So the first one is called Young Mungo. This, from what I've heard, is basically a little life if it was set in Ireland, I believe. So I decided to give it a shot. It has got amazing ratings and reviews, so I thought I'd pick it up. I also picked up Youth Juice. Now, I purchased this from the Book Grocer for $15 secondhand. It is in pretty good condition. The dust jacket is a little bit banged up, but it's in really good condition. This book selling on Amazon brand new as a hardcover is $39. So I saved over 50% from the Book Grocer, which we love it. I think it's basically on the back, it says it's a mix of Bunny by Mona Awad mixed with Goop by Gwyneth Paltrow. We're here for it. We love horror books that focus in on the beauty and wellness industry. I think this one was $10. I picked up the hardcover of Hera by Jennifer Saint. I read a book centered in Greek mythology at the very, very start of June, which you guys will see or have already seen in my June wrap up. And that kind of put me in a very Greek mythology centric phase. So I picked up Hera. I've heard the Jennifer Saint's retellings are just amazing. And do you want to see something, guys? The end pages in this are peacocks. They're so pretty. I was really, really impressed. I didn't expect anything special. I thought it would just be a standard hardcover, but I love that end pages are starting to get really fancy. Anyway, if you guys don't know, Hera is Zeus's wife. They are siblings. It is Greek mythology. Shit's weird. Haven't read it yet. So the last book I purchased from the Book Grocer is a book I read when it first came out. So it came out about 5 years ago. But when I read it, I gave it a 3.5 star. At the time, I thought it was fine. It just wasn't something I was interested in. The genre was a bit weird for me at the time, but I have grown a lot in the last 5 years, and I really wanted to give this book another chance. So I decided to purchase it and see how we go. It is Luster by Raven Leilani, and this book follows a woman who starts an affair with a married man, but it turns out that he has kind of an open relationship with his wife, so he actually moves our main character into his familial house. And she has this strange relationship with their adopted daughter and this strange relationship with his wife. It is a very strange book, but I do think I'm in the right reading phase where weird books like this appeal to me. I received a book from World of Books, which is the Australian version of Thrift Books. And this book was meant to be in very good condition, but it came like with a bunch of water damage, and the cover was like, the hardcover was all like matted, and it was just weird. So I emailed them to be like, yo, this book isn't really in the condition that you said it was, and I paid like about $25 for it. And they said, we're so sorry, pick any other book with within a similar price range and we'll ship it to you free of charge. So I picked The Good Samaritan by John Marrs. Now let's be real, this book not in the bestest condition, but there's no water damage, so I think it's an improvement. Now this book follows a woman who works at a suicide hotline, but she doesn't care about these people. She would actually prefer all these people to kill themselves. She's like the evil suicide hotline person. I think it's a really interesting concept. It reminds me of that Lucinda Berry Audible original that I read a couple of months ago, but in reverse. So I'm excited. As I said, a book I read earlier this month really put me into a Greek mythology sort of mood. I will say this multiple times throughout this video, you're just gonna have to bear with me. Because of this, I was looking at all the books I have on my shelves that are already inspired or retellings of Greek mythology, and a lot of them are series, and a lot of them are series where I just fell behind with the new releases. So with all that being said, I picked up volumes 7 and volumes 8 of Lore Olympus because I had the first 6 on my shelves. Didn't realize I was so far behind with the volumes, so I picked these ones up and they match volumes 1 to 6, and I made it a personal goal to myself that I was going to read volumes 1 through 8 of Lore Olympus by the end of June. Today's July the 1st. Do you think I completed that challenge? I definitely did not. I did not even pick up volume 1. It just sat beside me, but I never actually picked it up. So maybe that'll be a goal for July. I can't tell you. Who's to know? I don't even know. What am I doing here? As I just said, Greek mythology. I realized I didn't have the newest release in the Dark Olympus series by Katie Roberts, so I picked it up. It is Sweet Obsession. This follows Icarus and Poseidon. I didn't realize that there was a relationship between the two of them, but there we go. This series is standalone books that all connect to an overarching plot, and each book follows a different couple within Greek mythology. I wouldn't know because I haven't read any of them. So next I realized I had the Hades Trials and the Ares Trials by Eliza Reign. What I didn't have is the Poseidon Trials, so I bought the Poseidon Trials. At the time of purchasing this, had I read any books by Eliza Reign? No, I had not. So good decisions being made all around. Next, I purchased a new release from one of my favorite authors. It is With a Vengeance by Riley Sager. I think this cover is so fun. I love the color. Sometimes the Riley Sager covers, especially the newer ones, they have just that pop of color that it just makes it a little bit different than other thriller covers. This follows a woman whose family are killed, I believe, her entire family. And what, 10, 20 years later? 12 years later, she lures all the people involved with her family's deaths onto a train, and she's gonna get her revenge, and I'm intrigued. This is his first book that is set entirely in the past. We get flashbacks throughout the books, but this one is entirely set in the 50s. Could be interesting. I've seen some really unhappy people say this is his worst release to date, but people seem to say that every time he comes out with a new book, and I disagree with them 9 times out of 10, so I am very excited. And I am planning on having a bit of a theme for July. I think July is going to be the month that I finally catch up on all the new releases from the first half of the year, so that's on the list. Next, I picked up Enchantra by Kaylee Smith, which is the sequel to Phantasma. Have I read Phantasma? No. Did I pick up the sequel to it anyway? Of course I did. Do I even know what this book is about? No. But it's pretty. I am over consumerism. The problem is me. I am the problem. Next, I went to Big W with my brother, with my best friend. I don't remember what we were doing. I think I went to the post office and then dragged him to Big W with me from memory. And it was just a day for book buying. I was picking up books and telling him to read the back of them and tell me if I would like them, because he knows my reading taste really well. And I ended up walking away with 4 books, because usually he kind of talks me down from the ledge, but this particular day he was like, I don't know, just get it. So guess what, guys? I kept getting them. I kept picking up books. So the first one I picked up that day was The Dark Window by Rachel Gillig. Now, do you want to know why I purchased this? It is the dumbest of reasons. Apparently, as an Aquarius, the MMC in this book is like my perfect book boyfriend. But also it is just like a very typical sounding fantasy, like a kingdom is in trouble and one random girl is the chosen one and she has to unlock a power she didn't even realize she had to save the people. I don't really know much beyond that. I have been so tempted to purchase the sequel just to have the 2 of them together so I can marathon them. I haven't purchased the sequel yet. I do want to read this, but it's not going to be a super high priority right now, because I would rather get through 2025 releases in this current moment, but I am excited for this book, and my brother thinks I'll like it. Next, I picked up 2 books. Y'all are gonna be so mad at me. You guys are gonna be so mad at me. I picked up Wild and Wrangled, love these covers, and Lost and Lassoed by Lila Sage. I already have Swift and Saddled and Done and Dusted. Have I read either of them? No. The answer is always no, but they're on my shelves, and like I just said, I like having the complete series in front of me so I can just marathon books. Like, I can sit in bed on a day when I have no plans and literally read 2, 3, 4 books if I have the time and just marathon them. So that is why I purchased these 2. They are all cowboy romances. We're not even like through the first stack, FYI. Just in case you thought that, you know, things were going pretty fast and pretty swimmingly, you're incorrect. I just played with my tripod a bit and I changed the angle and I don't want to change it back, so we're just going to sit here. Like, this is how we're going to sit for now, okay? The next book I have is Julie Chan is Dead by Lian Zhang. The main character, Julie, has an identical twin sister. They are estranged, they're not really close. And then one day her sister Chloe dies, and instead of like calling the police and, you know, being a decent human being, Julie decides that she's going to take over her twin's life because her twin is significantly more successful than her. This is a thriller. I'm rather excited. I saw it floating around on TikTok for a couple of days before I went to W, so I thought I'm just going to take a chance on the TikTok girls. Next, I went to a secondhand shop with my parents. I found 2 books there. The first one is Station 11 by Emily St. John Mandel. This is a book I owned previously. I did own this book probably like 7 or 8 years ago. I believe this is set in a post-apocalyptic world, but it also has something to do with people performing Shakespeare plays. I don't know. When I originally had this, I only owned it because some YouTubers that I liked owned it, and that was my reason for purchasing it. Unhauled it because it was just taking up space. Now that I'm older, I think I might actually enjoy this. So it was, I think, $3 from Savers, and I thought I'm just going to give it another shot. I didn't actually give it a shot the first time, but, you know, actually properly give it a shot this time. And the other book I found from Savers is No Exit by Taylor Adams. I hate birds. Do I already own this book? Yes, I do. However, I have and this is because I'm that bitch, I have the mass market paperback. I'll insert the cover here. To me, that just isn't No Exit. Like, this is the No Exit that I've always seen and always wanted. And because this is the indie published one, but this one starts with an email. And from memory, my mass market paperback doesn't have an email in it. So I'm curious to see if the actual text is different. Again, this was probably $3 or $4. So I thought I'd get it just to compare the pair and then eventually decide which one I want to hold on to and which one I will pass on to someone else. Next, this was another excursion where me and my brother went to the post office and then ended up book shopping after the fact. I purchased Graveyard Shift by ML Rio from QBD. Now, I haven't heard great things about this book, okay? But it's little and it's horror and the cover is really cool. So I decided I was going to take a chance on it, and this book sparked a lovely little conversation between me and the person behind the register, so I have good feelings about this book. Next, arguably one of, if not the most exciting book that I got this month, I finally received my pre-order of The Darkest Part of the Forest by Holly Black from Litjoy. So we've got the beautiful gold sprayed edges, we've got the beautiful cover and spine that match the Vrook of the Air set that they already came out with. We have got a signature, probably digital. We have got annotations from the Queen herself. We have got beautiful end page and beautiful end page, and there's also artworks throughout the book. This has joined my shelf of prized special editions. I need to redo a bookshelf tour for the bookshelf behind me. It has changed significantly since the last video I filmed, but she's beautiful. She's beautiful. Next, I finally caved and I purchased Favorites by Lane Fargo. I already have a book by Lane Fargo, but it's actually a thriller, so I'm going to read the thriller first and then jump into this one. This is an ice skating retelling of Wuthering Heights, and I'm kind of here for it. I'm here for the drama, and I love this cover. I know I do like the US one slightly more, bing, but this one's fine, and I think it's told predominantly through interviews. Okay, I lied. It is not predominantly told through interviews. There are like minor interviews throughout, but yeah, this follows Heath and Kathy, I believe. Sorry, Katarina and Heath. We'll see how we go. Next, I picked up Miss Ashley Poston's newest release, Sounds Like Love. At the time of purchasing this book, had I read anything by Ashley Poston? Obviously not. The answer is always no. I have now, and I'm so glad that I did, because I seem to really like Ashley Poston. So this one follows two people that both have, I think, the same tune or the same melody stuck in their head. Then they meet and they decide that they need to write this song together because this song is starting to get on their nerves. I don't think that's correct. Next, I picked up The Unworthy by Agustina Bastarrica. So I have read Tender as the Flesh and I have read 19 Claws and a Blackbird, and I loved them both. Different ways, but I really, really appreciate them as books. So I wanted to purchase this one. This one follows, I don't want to call them nuns. It follows a group of women called the Sacred Sisterhood that live in a post-apocalyptic world. And we are following our main character, who is secretly writing a journal of her life before and her life currently living with the sisterhood, and how there's a hierarchy within the sisterhood and everyone wants to be the chosen or the enlightened, but our main character is the unworthy, which is the second lowest rank on the hierarchy, and she talks about how things run there, and it's a pretty miserable existence until a new woman stumbles upon their commune, and it gets a little bit wild. It is quite a graphic book, I will say. This one does not shy away from violence whatsoever. I did read it, but I would still, if I had the chance to, I would purchase this again, I think. Next, I picked up Mother Tongue. This book has been everywhere. This is definitely a weird girl book about a woman who I think slips into a coma, and when she wakes up, she can speak French. So she fully says bye-bye, au revoir to her kids and her husband, and she yeets off to France. That just sounds like a really fun time to me, so I picked it up. I then picked up the sequels to Belladonna. So we've got Foxglove and Wisteria. Now, Wisteria was, I can't tell you what these books are about because I haven't read Belladonna, and also spoilers because these are sequels, but this is Foxglove. I think she's very pretty. And then we've got Wisteria. Now, this one I did get about, I think it was $7 off of the price on Amazon because it was an Amazon return with a slightly bent cover, but I'm very excited to own those books. I don't want to talk about how they are different sizes, so let's just ignore that. I also purchased Bat Eater by Kylie Lee Baker. I heard just so many people talking about this book this month, so I decided to read it. It follows a woman, she's half Chinese, and she's living in New York City during the peak of the pandemic. And she's at the train station one day with her sister, and this white man walks past and mutters Bat Eater under his breath and pushes her sister onto the train tracks, and she gets killed because the train comes. And it then follows the main character Cora as a crime scene cleaner, noticing that more and more of the crime scenes that she's cleaning up are the murders of East Asian women, and she kind of wants to catch the killer, but she's also got some inner and literal ghosts surrounding her that she should also probably deal with as well. This I did read, would highly recommend, and I actually like this cover. I think it's just a really, I don't know, to me it really fits the book. Next, I purchased 4 books from someone on Depop. So these are all from the same seller. They were lovely. They literally messaged me and they were like, really good choices. Like, you picked some really, really good books. And I was like, obviously, thank you so kindly. So first I've got Victorian Psycho by Virginia Fato. I've already read this book. I really enjoyed it, so I decided to pick it up. I, as per fucking usual, prefer the US cover, but we make do, guys. We make do. This follows a woman who sets out to become a nanny in the 1800s. Problem is, she's a psycho. She is not scared of guts and gore and violence, and she kind of like whims her way into this family's life pretending to be like a really nice, normal, well-adjusted person. That's not how the book ends, but it was really fun, so I purchased that one. I also purchased the newest Nat Cassidy, which is called When the Wolf Comes Home. This is the US cover. I'm so glad. I don't know how this person got it, because this book is not, I don't think this book has even been released in Australia yet, so I don't know how this particular seller who lives in Australia got the US cover. I guess they imported it, but I like this cover a lot. I think it's really pretty. So I have got all of Nat Cassidy's, nope, that's a lie. I have most of Nat Cassidy's books. I have yet to read a single one, because I have problems. From the same seller, I then got Once Upon You and Me by Timothy Janowski. I have previously read a book by Timothy Janowski, which I loved. This is an age gap romance, and I'm just excited to read it, and I just love the cover, and I don't know, this gives me, I don't know what month it's supposed to be in. Maybe spring, but for some reason it gives me autumn vibes. I don't know. I just think it'd be a cute read. And last, from that seller on Depop, I purchased Beautyland, that follows an alien who only lives on Earth really to write up reports and give feedback to her home planet. But she kind of starts falling for humans, because as a race, apparently, it is very easy for aliens to fall in love with us as a whole. That's all I know about this book. I know that apparently the main character, the alien herself, is very relatable, and she just is so human. So I've heard good things. So guys, these books are from another time that I went to the post office and then proceeded to go book shopping after the fact, okay? These books I found at Kmart. So first we have got God of Malice by Rena Kent. These books have been blowing up everywhere. I cannot get anywhere without seeing God of Ruin, God of Malice. It was $14. I decided to pick it up. This book is about a woman who falls in love with a sociopath. No, actually, I think he's a psychopath. Either way, there is an author note at the start of this book saying, do not think that she can change him. He is certifiably insane. I'm excited. He sounds like he's made tape. The next book, I don't know how any book lover could have walked away from. It is called The 7-Year Itch by Amy Dawes. It is the sequel to The 9-Month Contract, right? It is cute. It has sprayed edges. This is a standard issue paperback. I love that sprayed edges are becoming a thing that everyone can have. And this is, I think, a sister-in-law's best friend, enemies to lovers situation. I don't know, but it's really cute. And then from Kmart, these are still in the bag because I don't want to damage them in any way, so give me 2 seconds. So from what I've heard, these books are out of stock everywhere, and a lot of people are trying really hard to find them. I've seen people reselling these for ridiculous prices on Facebook. It is the hardcovers of the Carissa Broadbent books that have the sprayed edges. So we've got The Serpent and the Wings of the Night, which is a hardcover, but it has the little snaky snake on the sprayed edges. Then we've got The Ashes and the Star-Cursed King, and that has the sword on the edge. And then the last one, which is The Songbird and the Heart of Stone, which has an arrow. And like I said, I've seen so many people trying to find these, and my Kmart, the Kmart that is closest to where I live, is renowned for literally never having stock. Especially when it comes to books, they never have the newest releases, they never have the special editions or the hardcovers. So this particular day I went there and saw they had these in stock. I grabbed them so quickly. So here's what they look like collectively. I think they're really beautiful. I would also like to read the series at some point. So then during the month I was reading 1984, we'll talk about it in my wrap up, but I happened to go onto TikTok and just search 1984 and found out that there is a book called Julia, which is 1984 from Julia's point of view. It's by Sandra Newman, and it's exactly what it says. this follows Julia. This first chapter, I read some of the first chapter. It follows her watching Winston and her being attracted to Winston, but not really knowing why she's attracted to him, knowing there's something a bit different about him. And I am so fucking excited to read this book. You do not understand. I'm seeing 1984 on Saturday at the theatre. So the only reason I haven't jumped into this straight away is because I want to see how accurate the theatre production is to the original text. Once I've seen it on Saturday, then I'll probably pick this up soon after. I just want to keep 1984 fresh in my head before the performance, and then after that we can get into some non-canon 1984. But I'm just really excited. I had no idea this was a thing. The last 3 books I have to show you are actually books that I got today. I know that it's technically it's July, but I knew I was filming a video today, so we're just going to include it all in one. I purchased these books from some secondhand stores. Like I said, I've had a morning. I don't want to get into it all, but I went to some secondhand stores today and I found these books. First one is called Listen for the Lie by Amy Tintera. This book was popping off. At one point, I had it in my Amazon wish list. It was like $25. Then randomly, the price dropped down to $9 and I was going to get it, but I knew I wasn't going to read it straight away and it just seemed like a waste of money and time, so I didn't purchase it. I found it today at this secondhand store that said paperbacks are $3, hardcovers are $4, okay? I just want to tell you guys this fun little story. So I go up to the counter and I see someone, and this is so like judgy of me, but you know what? My judgment was fucking correct today. I saw a younger woman who had a customer in front of her that she was helping. She seemed capable, she seemed like she knew what she was doing, so I lined up behind these people that she was helping. Because the other person behind the counter was this old guy, this really, really old man. I mean, like easily in his 80s. And he saw me standing there and he goes, "Come over." He was a bit aggressive. He goes, "Come over." And I was like, okay. So I went to go stand in front of him and he goes, "No, not there." And then directs me to the other side of the counter. Whatever. So I'm standing in front of him and I passed him the book and he goes, "Oh, just that one?" And I was like, "Yep, just that one." Trying to like still be nice, because typically I will be very nice to people, especially that have to work in customer service, because like it sucks. I fucking get it. So I was trying to be nice to him. And so I passed him the book. And because I know that this book is $3, because it is a paperback, I have $3 of change in my hand because I was trying to get rid of some change today anyway. So he looks at the book. So he goes to his register and he starts like typing in whatever. And then he goes, $4. Now, well, I'm just gonna tell you what happened. I'll explain myself at the end. He goes, $4. And I was like, $4? And he goes, yeah, $4. Paperbacks are $3, hardcovers are $4, and he does this and he goes, "Based on what I'm feeling, that feels like it's made of cardboard. Cardboard is a hardcover, it's $4. And I'm like, okay, $4. So I open my purse to grab another $1 out. And then as I'm doing that, he goes, "Oh, maybe it is $3. And I was like, this point I was starting to get a little bit frustrated. I was like, is it $3 or is it $4? And he goes, well, all hardcovers have cardboard on the cover, and that feels like cardboard, so it must be $4. And I'm like, so $4? And he goes, yeah, $4. So I gave him the fucking $4. Now, I know this is a paperback. This is a paperback, but I'm like, I'm not that bitch. I'm not going to argue with someone in a charity shop over $1. Like, I'm not that bitch. You want the $4, I'll give you the $4. My biggest issue is that A, he didn't even seem convinced that it was a hardcover, because he kept going back and forth between $4 and $3 and blah, blah, blah. Second of all books have cardboard on the covers. Paperbacks aren't actually just made of paper. Like, this here, that's not paper, that's cardboard. Very thin cardboard, but it is cardboard. So I don't know how he confused it it was just frustrating. It was so frustrating. But I was like, no, just don't say anything. Just give him the extra fucking $1 step and get the fuck out. So I give him the $4. Now, I had a $2 coin and the rest was made up of 20-cent coins and 50-cent coins. So I'm waiting for him to like have a quick count to make sure there's actually $4 there, seeing as it was such a fucking big deal that he got $4 out of me instead of $3. So I'm waiting for him to count it. He doesn't. And he grabs it from me and he looks at it, and as he's putting it directly into the register without like individually counting it or like really seeming to pay attention to it, he turns to me and he goes, "What, do you want a receipt or something?" And I was like, no, it's fine. And then I walked away. I was trying so hard not to lose my goddamn shit. But like, this should have been the easiest transaction of his life. And for some reason, it went on too long and it really stressed me out. You guys don't care, but I think this story needs to be on the internet. So I purchased this book for $4, even though it should have been priced at $3. This has a podcast element. This follows a woman who everyone thinks killed her best friend. She doesn't remember killing her best friend, but everyone's really convinced that she did. But she wants to find out, so she starts listening to this podcast that is discussing this particular true crime to find out whether she did in fact kill her friend or not. Isn't that the most anticlimactic thing after the fun story I just told you? Anyway, then I went to one more secondhand store just across the way from that one. So this secondhand store, you really wouldn't think much of it looking from the outside, because it's like very cluttered. It's a bit of chaos. There's no real organization to anything. But I've been there a couple of times, and most of the time when I go there, I end up finding something that is just like I would never expect to find at a secondhand store. So the first one was Tenants by Eliza Clark. I do already own this book. However, I am hopeful that I'm going to fucking adore this book. And it's so sad. When I picked this up, I was like, oh my god, I'll get to pass it on to one of my friends. If I really like it, then I can give them a copy. I don't have any friends right now. I have like a friend, and for some reason, he does not read any of the books I purchase for him. Every time we are talking about a book that he owns, I was like, how did you get that book? And he's like, you bought it for me. No one else talks to me. Everyone else hates me. But anyway, that's irrelevant. Yeah, so the only person that doesn't hate me right now is not going to want to accept this book, so I don't know what to do with it. I think maybe this edition is slightly different than mine, but it was $1. It was literally $1. How could I say no? And then the other book I found is a book I didn't particularly love, but again, it was $1, so how could I not get it? It is Red, White, and Royal Blue by Casey McQuiston, but it is the special limited edition, right? So, okay, Dust Jacket is like, you probably can't see very well. The Dust Jacket's a bit of a mess, and to be honest, I don't really like the design of the Dust Jacket at all. I'm probably going to keep it on there for now, but anyway. But is naked, is end pages, is sprayed, and apparently it also has an extra chapter from a different character's POV. And look, oh my god, and the back is pink. Oh, how cute. Oh my god, it's just such a pretty copy. Like, it's so pretty, I literally could not say no. And at this secondhand store, right, all the books, they are $1 each. Doesn't matter how big they are, how small they are, whatever they are, it is $1 per book. So I went up to the counter, only one person behind the counter. She was dealing with a customer who I think like was trying to find a replacement cord for something that she purchased. So they were like trying to find this cord. I was standing there with these two books, and the woman behind the counter goes, hi, like, are you just getting those two? And I was like, yeah, just these two. And she goes, okay, $2. So I gave her the $2 in coins, and she counts them, and she goes, okay, all good, thank you. How easy was that? How easy was that interaction? Like, honestly, that old man low-key ruined my day, but it's fine. That is all the books I purchased in June and the first day of July. I hate myself for how long this video took, because I have 2 more videos to film today. Y'all come back real soon, you hear?
Y'all come back real?
That's all I really wanted to say. I hope you enjoy your day. I hope that your day is significantly better than mine, and I will see you in my next video. Bye bye!